Hello, I'm Geraldine from FatLab. Well, I'm going to talk just a little bit about some projects that I think are relevant for some stuff that it's going on right now on the internet. Basically, I guess there is no one definition of what fat is. I don't know if any of you know what fat is, or I should just start from the very beginning. So FatLab stands for Free Art and Technology, and is a kind of web-based lab. Basically, it's a mailing list and a blog post, a blog where we post the projects we do. And we collaborate often on certain projects that we create on the web, for the web. And also we post our personal projects that are related with the issues that we explore in FAT. So I think it's going to be easier if I show some projects and some stuff that we have done. I'm going to just present very fast, like some projects that kind of led me to what FAT is. So I was working with video and kind of like advertising when I was very young, and it was kind of like an awful job. And I was trying to do my own work and trying to focus more on my ideas rather than, I don't know, like products ideas. And I got like an invitation for be fellow in IBIM in New York. And then I was working there. I was working with video, but I also met some people that were the founders of FAT, that were working a lot with the city and with open source and hacking and electronics, and just trying to create like new ways to interact with the spaces we are in the city. So when I was in IBM, I got very interested in all of this, and I learned so many stuff, and they were very inspiring, and I started focusing in creating kind of free infrastructure. And that's kind of like what I think it led me to FAT, that you will see more what it's about. But I wanted just to show you kind of like what I was doing that kind of relate with FAT. And I was creating these dresses that were made with postal envelopes that were free in New York. You can just get like hundreds of Tyvek envelopes that are like waterproof and stuff, and they will just give it for you for free. And I was recycling all the materials that you were needed to do the dresses. So this is a little like fashion catwalk that I made about it. So during all of this, then I kind of like started getting more interesting, because I was like going around the city a lot and just seeing that there were like a lot of literally free infrastructure that we could kind of use. And so I started working with a guy called Adam in a project about steam. This is like an explosion of steam that were one day in the city. And we were just trying to think which other infrastructures besides the envelopes of Tyvek and stuff we could use, and we found out there were like lots of steam in New York. And so I created some tents with the Tyvek of the dresses, and we went on New Year's Eve to come to Times Square in 2007. So we were there just hanging out at night, and I don't know, it was very weird. But what we were actually trying to do was to test how we could cook our dinner. And hold on, this should have sound. Yeah. Yeah. So we were trying to test how we could cook our dinner for that night. So we brought these kind of like light cages where the constructions that you can just also take it for free. I mean, you can take one or two and it's okay. And we would use all these like pipes of steam to cook our sausages during the night. So it kind of worked very well, and we didn't got sick or anything like that. So we kind of like took the project further. And well, Yeah, we we eat it. We have like dinner. We camp in Times Square in our like tents and stuff. And then police wake us up like at 6, like you can be here, like you have to go. And then a couple of weeks after, we kind of thought we could do like a prototype for a more functional thing. So we create this oven that could just connect to the street and do tea while you were like cooking your dinner. So I like to think that this is kind of like what got me into fat because they were doing a lot of like work about the city and about free open source tools. So I got invited to FAT by Evan, that it's one of the founders together with James Patterly. And as I said, I think every one of us in FAT, we are like 19 people in different places of the world, mostly in the United States, but some of us are also here in Europe. And yesterday someone asked me that like they didn't know they were women in FAT. And yes, I mean, for those that didn't know, we are like 3 women in FAT that we were working within the group. But all of us have like a different role, I guess, and a different kind of participation and stuff. But I think some things keep us together, and they are related with the projects that I will show now. And one of the things that like I think is one of the things that like are very evident in FAT is the open source. Kind of like we can make, besides that we can make our work available through open source very easily because we don't have to worry about restrictions of the distribution of content and that. We can also enable other people to collaborate with us, and we can build upon the work of other people. So kind of like art is often more associated with one person and one name. And FAT is like, I think the fact that it's working with the open source practices, it's kind of more, I mean, open source is more about a collective or like communities. Open source like works better like with communities. So actually the guy that developed Linux, which was like Linus Torvalds, I learned through Evan that it's, as I said, one of the founders, that there was this guy that wrote a book called The Cathedral of the Bazaar, and the Bazaar that described the practice of Linus Torvalds, or like what he did, as lazy like a fox, which was like basically, quote, lazy like a fox means like finding the minimum effort path from point A to B. Which sometimes, I mean, is not that it's that fast, but it implies certain process to have something efficient and like with a minimum effort to get there, no? So I think actually that's the name of this talk, is like lazy like a fox. And for me also, I don't know, I think in fact this lazy like a fox thing could translate in many things. Like for instance, that if you are lazy to do something, you can code some script, or you can code some software, so the software do it for you, and you don't have to do it. And then it can have many approaches or many outputs. So I'm sorry, this one went out. So the projects that I'm going to show is like based on open source. The other that I'm going to show is like other projects I'm going to show relate with free, which kind of like, in fact, we have the concept of free as beer and free as freedom too. Kind of like freedom beer kind of thing. But we release our works under no license, under copyleft, or under the laxest Creative Commons, which is copyright, but still better than full copyright. So we have that spectrum, no? I think more and more is getting less relevant because we're creating our own stuff, and we don't care about it. Like we don't care about copyright, but we have used Creative Commons before and that. And the third thing that I think is a good characteristic of FAT is that there's a lot of like explicit fuck off things going on, like to Google and Facebook and all these companies that like behave in a way that people expect not to, but as my friend Ripley say, they are like companies. Now we expect Google to be ethical, but I mean that's completely unrealistic. They are like companies and they don't care about us. But so I think in fact we have like approached that situation instead of like being like, oh, please Google, you should just be nice and ethical business and all that thing that is very weird. Just to say like, fuck you, this is like what you do. And like we have like projects that specifically are like dedicated to Google, like fuck Google. So I don't know, I think this open source thing, freeness and fuck off is like a good way to define the work of that. So, okay, the first project I'm going to show, it has to do with open source. And basically, I don't know if you know who's Shito, but like he got into jail like before WikiLeaks and before all this craziness of leakness, because he like leaked some information in China about corruption. And Yahoo gave his data to the Chinese government and they put him in jail and he's still there. So Evan filled Flickr with pictures of him, and it was like a completely outrage. It was like before Google started giving away data, they did it, and Evan did this, and from that Jamie developed a software called Fuck Flickr that you can download from our site. And basically, Fuck Flickr is like Fuck Flickr. It's like a standalone software that you install in your server, and you can like put all your pictures and them the same way that you do it with Flickr, but in your server without using their infrastructure. So this is in 2008 we did this, and we're still using it. And I don't know, I think now it's kind of relevant, even if they're like small projects and kind of. They could be better developed and stuff. They're like good propositions that I think are a good time to consider using it. Other project I did recently, I did this software called J3D-Lab. I don't know, you know who's JD-Lab, but anyway, it's built on J3D, which is like a jQuery, a JavaScript thing software. But I modify it and stuff, and I make this version for you to host your own 3D models in your server, because now MakerBot got bought by a big company like Stratasys, so they sell also MakerBot, so they kind of like own your designs too. So you can just skip that and host your own data, and it's very simple. It's just like a shell script that you run, and then it's installed in your software. So that's like other project we have them as an open source. And with copyright, Evan did this sticker that you can put in your ID, so in case if you die, you can donate all your intellectual property for the public domain. Then also I did this project called CopyFamo, which is like a software that adds automatically watermarks to your images. So all Getty images and AFP, and that is kind of like free copyright that give you kind of like legitimacy in the world and stuff. So there is like a video of like, I mean, you cannot really tell what it is copyright and what is fake. But it's very useful for your curriculum and that kind of stuff. So there is this software that is like fat-copyfamo, and people still using it. And they upload the most ridiculous, amazing things to put just like a Getty images, like a logo. And they do amazing things. Like these guys are my favorite. They upload all these like funny images of them in the most like weird situations. Like this. So yeah, it's very popular. It's like funny. And then this is probably like my favorite part of FAT, which is the fuck off part. And this project was called Fuck Google and was presented in Transmediale in 2010. And it was when there was all this discussion in Germany about the Google Street View car, that they just thought like, oh, this is why don't we just like digitize like all the streets in the world and make this, that it's very useful. But in Germany it was kind of like a big thing. And we make a fake Google car, and we just kind of test what happened. And I mean, basically, you are God if you have like a sticker of Google in your car. So I'm going to show you what happened. And, wait, sorry. No? Yes. So we first have like a little kind of gathering to hang out and do things and get ready for do something. We have this fat car. We were like kind of play. I mean, sometimes we work on the internet, but sometimes we have these opportunities when we meet together in one part of the world and we can develop one big project. And we are doing that more often, which is kind of cool. And this was one of those opportunities that we were just doing Google projects for a week, like 25 new projects. And one of those projects was like a tweet that said, we just put like a GPS tracker in a Google car. And The Guardian and Boing Boing and all media took it as like a fact. And we were basically just constructing this like fake camera Google car. But when we went outside, this is what happened. People love it. They are like taking pictures and hi Google, and I mean people totally adore Google. Oh, it was when they hacked like the Chinese government. You can just do whatever you want, period, like that. Nobody would say anything to you. You can obstruct traffic, run lights, and some people don't like them. And we were like kind of, those guys are not fat. They were just like, we would do it. And we were just trying to create these situations.
What do you want?
Of like Google being totally asshole.
Hey, this is Google car. Turn off the camera.
Because journalists were very freaked out about Google just like, collecting images of everyone and that. So what happened with this is like, I don't know, Google just published like there is no like a Google car in Berlin going on. This is not true and stuff. And yeah, it was very fun. It was like, this is the best shot. It was very good, and I mean, I think we kind of attract a little attention. But the whole point with this is like, before this NSA thing started and stuff, we were kind of questioning like, why we let Google like hoard all this data, like amass all this data, and we kind of knew it was going to end up bad, which did. And this guy, they were trying to rescue the Google car. It's not part of that, obviously, neither. And yeah, I mean, the message was that they have very good products, but it's not good that a monopoly controls that much data. So our proposition always has been like to host your own data and like have more services are independent and we can control them. Okay, so that's fuck Google, that it's like my super favorite one, like. And then just let me, I don't know how much time we have, but well, then we have this Google alarm that will kind of play these kind of reggaeton alarms every time your browser is sending data to Google. It works like this. It was made by Jamie Wilkinson. So basically you would install the plugin, and yeah, if they're sending data, it will, I don't know why there's no audio. I think it's there. It's very low. Yeah, that's weird, that audio. But anyways, it sends like alarms every time your browser sends data to Google, which is all the time from any browser, any service, everywhere. Then Toby did this project that is amazing, that is like your Facebook identity card, which, because he has the theory that like in some years you will travel and customs wouldn't ask for your passport, but will ask for your ID, social network identity card. So he did these cards, but Facebook sent him like a cease and desist letter that they cannot use the color and the name of Facebook, and he had to call it the Social ID Bureau. No, he had to change the name. So yeah, this I think people love it. Like it's a project that he make this performance where he present he has this kind of like a bureaucrat issuing these cards based on your information on the internet and that. So he's pretty awesome. This is another project that Becky did like years ago, like 2008. But now that all this thing of the leaks happened, we were reading that Edward Snowden would wear a red hoodie, very big, when he was like entering his passwords. So I think this is now very relevant again, like how you can either use this for privacy or just to hide when you need it or something. And she did it all with a knitting machine, like super cool stuff. And this is another project, which is the driver's car, that this was made in New York just like a couple of months ago. Like most of the group, I wasn't there, but most of the group went to New York, and they did this super cool version of the Google car.
Huh? Wow, look at that. Who needs Google, man?
So people in there were taking pictures and Instagram and just trying to look at very serious business, and again they were trying to create certain situations like, but I don't know, people that were there, they said that it's crazy, that like people just love it. They don't even see any irony on it. They are like, oh, it's just so good that they are just being, horrible with people, or like explicitly running into bike side places and stuff. And there is, I think it comes like the best shot now, which is, there is one member of FAT that literally kind of...
Driving taxi, would you like that? No, right? Because then you have no job. You're replaced by robots.
Yeah, I think it's so. This is the office of Google in 7th Avenue. And they were like just doing stuff around there and like this. Outside the office of Google. So, but nobody will be, concerned at all of it. So yeah, this is the latest beef we have with Google, which is, I think, it is good that it is. Sorry, I don't see my. This is so bad. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. And finally, I'm going to show this project that we did because we don't have any time anymore now. It's very late.
Webmaster, admin, blog owner, or someone with access to index.html.
We did this project when Occupy happened in New York because we thought it was good to kind of like show some solidarity to all the stuff that was going on. But obviously we couldn't camp or anything, so we make this gift protest that you could attach to your website, and people could send gifts, like protest gift, and do it. And we organized this kind of big exhibition on the internet, and at the end we end up with like thousands of sites occupied, and lots of people like put it in their site. And then we did another versions that you could have like a protest mode on or like protest mode off. And I think it went really great. I think this is one of the projects that shows kind of like what we like, that people get together with kind of like the idea we drop, and then it evolves in something else. So yeah, I think that like sum ups like basically what it is. So well, just for finish, now that you see all these projects, I just want to show you two images that for you to. So this is kind of like the official definition of FAT, which is like this is kind of like, no definition, but just the space where we operate, which is between pop culture and open source. But after I show you these videos, as I said, I wanted to give also what I think about fat. And for me, sometimes I hear that fat is not about politics and that it's just very fun and stuff, which it is fun. But it's kind of like we have a very specific kind of fun when we tackle this kind of politics. So this is also other way we could think of fat. That like, I mean, nobody said that like doing or talking about these issues or trying to make some propositions about how to solve it needs to be boring or something. So I like this idea of seeing fat also as like open source, open culture, and fun and politics. Like I'm just going to show you just to finish these two things. And this is like a zoo. That is a very explicit project. Like he put it in New York all over, this Mark Zuckerberg pictures that like, I mean, is just obviously what we should do to that guy with all the, like he does with our data. And this is like something that you will probably see around right now. It was on the boat and here. And it's just this, the XRJ, and that it's just in bathrooms or like in the boat, in the rooms and stuff. So you don't forget that like Google is watching you and like handling your data in a way that probably you don't like. So if you, I don't know, they know so much about us, kind of, I think they should have this family place in our houses and stuff, so we don't forget what they do, but also because kind of like they deserve it for all the effort they put in like surveil our data. So yeah, I think that's all. If you have an answer or a question or something, I can respond it, and that's, if not, that's it. Anybody has a question?